breaking. It's being reported that 6 transgenders had advanced knowledge of Charlie Kirk's assassination. What does that even mean, bro? What does that even mean, bro? Breaking news. Remember what I said about Donald Trump saying everything's transgender and then people understand it? That's what this is now. You can just put transgender in anything, in any context, in any situation. You can just apply transgender to it and people will go, that's right, that's probably the case. We have to do something. Like, the right is so easily duped on this shit. Yeah, like, they went, the shooter is trans. Okay, the bullets were trans. Okay, the roommate is trans. Like, what the how could people not realize this is a psychotic way to approach the situation? What if the shooter wanted to be trans? You never know, like, ahead of time. You know what I mean? When all else fails, they just lie and they go along with that lie. It just doesn't make any sense. There's like a 90% chance that all trans people found out by now that Charlie is dead. Everybody knows transgender people are magical people. They just like communicate with one another through telepathy. And they were sending out a beacon. It's just like when you start taking HRT, you just have this like these additional powers. You're a really good swimmer too. It gives you swimming powers. Okay, it gives you weightlifting powers, and it also gives you the power to precog assassinations ahead of time. That's just how it is. Once you get on that HRT, bro, it's crazy. Okay, like, I'm joking about this shit, but like, unironically, that is how it's coming across. When they first found the shooter, when they first apprehended the shooter, I wasn't live, but a lot of other people were covering it, and they were making up their minds on like what this ideological profile was. I think it was too soon to tell, but you know, my early assessment was looking at like the meme profile, which is a stupid thing to actually say out loud when talking about mass shooters, but god damn it, unfortunately, that is a thing that we have to do. Looking at the mimetic profile of the shooter and the things that the shooter wanted to communicate, I basically said, look, it's too soon to tell the ideological background, but it's like very obvious that he has like a right-wing family, Mormon family, all this stuff. You know, some family members are connected to the military. Early on, they thought his dad was like law enforcement. Then they found out that wasn't the case. That's whatever. But like, he clearly was a white kid from like a real ass American Utah family, right? And even Governor Cox had some statements about this. Even Governor Cox himself was like, oh, I was praying that he wasn't one of us. I hoped it was like some Muslim transgender guy from, you know, Idaho or whatever, or from not from this country. And it turns out he's one of us. And I saw that and I was like, that's a weird thing to say out loud, buddy. That's a weird thing to say out loud, but we are living in increasingly weird times, so I guess it's fine that you're just saying it, okay? Like, you know how people will always say, like, because of the unlimited violence that marginalized populations are subjected to, many of you have probably had that moment where you see like a mass shooting or something and you're like, oh my God, I hope the shooter isn't like trans or black or brown or undocumented or something like that, you know, because like, you know what is yet to come. Well, these guys are now doing the reverse of that because they want to do more violence, it seems. So they're like, oh, every time there's a shooter, even though most of the time it's like a white dude, and this time it was a white dude as well, you know, I was praying it wasn't one of ours, you know? I was praying it wasn't one of ours. And it's like, it's not like it changes anything if it's a white guy who's a right-winger. They've done most of the shootings. And it seems like the right collectively have decided a lot of these guys are responsible for the shooting. So let's just turn around and imagine that the shooter is a trans leftist every time, right? And it's crazy. It's crazy. Because like the impact is not the same. You know what I mean? There's not like there's no legislation to like ban young white boys who are a little quirked up on the internet when there's another young white boy who is a little too quirked up who does a mass shooting. That's not a thing. But God forbid, if anyone has like even been around a trans person, it seems, they're like, oh, we have to literally arrest and prosecute and criminalize every trans person in the country. Now, I watched so much I watched the Nancy Mace and the Republicans basically go from we have to kill everybody immediately. We have to kill anyone that's ever been like, maybe we shouldn't be mean to gay people because they're all radical transgender Antifa leftists who are doing unlimited violence, the white Christians or whatever, to then turn around and be like, oh no, he was one of our boys again. Oh well, pray for his soul. Pray for his lost soul. And then they turned around and they were like, he went to a Mormon university for one semester, and that's where he got hit with the transgender woke ray, right? And then everyone was like, dog, he took one semester and didn't even have any in-person classes, and then left to go work for to go to a technical school, right? Like, what are we talking about? This person's background is so perfectly like right-wing in the way that these guys have designed the world. So they just couldn't figure that route as well. But now they're saying it's actually a transgender roommate, that he was radicalized by a transgender. Like, it has to be a trans person, it seems, for these guys. Like, I don't know what will happen. I do know that because violence is such a permanent part of American politics, which I wrote about on the New York Times, by the way, we're going to be talking about that in a second. It's an inevitability that these things will continue to happen unless, in the absence of any sort of like serious legislation to stop, gun violence. It has happened every other week, and it will most likely, unfortunately, continue to happen. And I guess in the next phase here is going to be like, was the shooter ever around a trans person at all? Like, we have to look through the next school shooter. If they've even been in the direction, if they've even looked into the direction of a trans person, that's probably how they got radicalized. Like, that's where we're at now. Like, these people are trying to say like, oh, you were roommates with a trans person, I think, and therefore that's the reason why you did a mass shooting. Like, it's just so insane. And what's extra messed up is that people are like, the media is dropping the ball in spectacular fashion. So I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. It's just, everything is wrong. Everything is busted. Everyone is angry. I guess like the only thing I'm hoping for, and I said this like the first couple of days, is, maybe these guys will just focus on the burger aspect of things, and we'll just like get it out of their system by being like, we're going to cancel a bunch of people. We're going to cancel a bunch of people on the left that we are claiming is, responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk. And then they'll turn around and they won't engage in acts of violence or something like that. Hopefully. What is this viral tweet about you? I think I saw this. I saw this one. If, God forbid, a leftist like Hasan Piker were killed, a lot of centrist Dems wouldn't even publicly mourn him. The idea that any GOP governor would fly flags at half-mast for him like Dems, like Dem Govs or for Kirk, is beyond laughable. That's the imbalance we have in this country. I mean, it's true. His grandma was upset that people call him left-wing. I know. I saw that too. Yeah, that was also crazy. His grandmother was more upset at the fact that they were calling him a leftist than at the fact that he had shot Charlie Kirk. Like, she was like, listen, shooting high-profile figures is something that I'm, not too fond of, but I can understand it. But do not say he did it because of radical transgender Antifa. We are a Republican family. That's what she said. It was crazy. Anyway, she probably doesn't know what the f- is going on with the grandchild anyway. So, like, there's so much, like, secondary secondhand, third hand, fourth hand, like, totally irrelevant information that people run with and then try to retract after the fact. Once they found out the demographic background, once they found out his like family, his family history, the right toned down the calls for civil war and decided we got to lower the temperature, decided we got to pray for this young boy's soul, this young boy's heart. That was insane, because I felt like I got slapped up, like I got whiplash from how quickly they went from we have to kill every leftist person because this was very obviously a transgender Antifa leftist to we have to save this boy's soul by praying for him. And that led me to believe that maybe they think he's right wing. And I don't know if it's because they have more information that I was not privy to, right? Here's the Nancy Mace tweet compilation. That's the classic one that everyone is obviously pointing to. Time to bring back the death penalty. Enough is enough. Representative Nancy Mace comments on Charlie Kirk's killer allegedly being pro T-word. Okay. And then after the background of the shooter is found, we know Charlie Kirk would want us to pray for such an evil and lost individual like Tyler Robinson to find Jesus Christ. We will try to do the same. We truly believe if Tyler Robinson had ever sat down from Charlie, the great debater, the man of faith and grace he was, Tyler wouldn't have pulled the trigger. It's insane. It's insane. They didn't even hide it. They just straight up went from, this is a radical Antifa transgender, and we need to kill all of them, to like, we have to pray for this young boy's soul. So I think it's like a combination of different factors. One, it's because not only was he white, but he was a corn-fed white boy. You know what I mean? He was a real ass like Mormon Utah boy. Okay. And I do think that these guys, unironically, I never thought this until this moment, but I really do think that a lot of right-wingers just straight up respond to race, okay? I think that's it. Like when they see someone who is not just like white, but also not white in a spicy way where like they got a septum ring and I don't know, a hammer and sickle tattoo, but like just straight up, if you are like a white boy from a Republican family, they go, oh no, that's one of us. That's, you know, it's obviously that this person was not like a leftist. Like that's the way they reacted to it, even if there wasn't enough evidence to suggest it at the time. And I think the other reason is because they saw the Groyper stuff. They saw all the people being like, oh, this guy's a right winger. He voted for, or he's a registered Republican. He gave money to the Republicans, which is fake, by the way. That's a totally different Tyler Robinson, which again, Tyler Robinson is the most like, if you were to point to like the most average Utah boy, I would literally build out a profile of Tyler Robinson, right? Republican. It's like John Smith, you know, Tyler Robinson, white boy, went to college for one semester, dropped out, didn't pursue it, and went back and got like an apprenticeship. Went to a technical school. Like he did the most right-wing shit that you could possibly do. Not saying that like anyone that goes to a technical school is right-wing, but like that is how the right has presented the best possible future. You come from a good family. Your family is always there for you. And then you don't go to college because college makes you woke and gay, and you get an apprenticeship instead, right? Like you go to a technical school, you get an apprenticeship, you work a real job, an honest job, right? None of this like fake gay vaccine related college jobs. Like he did all of that. He's a gun pervert, family of gun perverts since 8 years old. He's been like, you know, shooting guns and whatnot. So I think like when they saw all of that stuff, they went, oh, this is probably one of our guys. As I also mentioned, like Governor Cox said. So they decided, oh yeah, no, we should maybe dial it back a little bit. The New York Times apparently has the messages. We're going to look at it. Before he was arrested on suspicion of carrying out the assassination, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson sent friends messages showing that he was closely following the news about the killing. The day after Charlie Kirk was killed, an acquaintance of Tyler Robinson's posed a question to him in a group chat. The FBI had just released 2 grainy surveillance images of a skinny young man in a cap and sunglasses walking in a stairwell on the Utah Valley University campus, and it asked the public's help in identifying the suspect. Tagging Mr. Robinson's username on Discord, a messaging platform, the acquaintance attached the images and wrote, "Where you at?" with a skull emoji, suggesting that Mr. Robinson, 22, looked like the man being sought. Mr. Robinson replied with a minute. His doppelganger, he wrote, was trying to get me in trouble. Tyler killed Charlie, another user wrote, apparently in jest. That was on Thursday afternoon, 1 p.m. local time. It was not until later that night, nearly 34 hours after the shooting, that Mr. Robinson was arrested on suspicion of carrying out the assassination of Mr. Kirk, 31, a conservative pundit whose killing has inflamed the political world. The Discord messages were the clearest glimpse yet of the suspect's demeanor in the hours after the killing. They were shared with the New York Times by someone who knew Mr. Robinson in high school and has kept up with him in the group chat, which includes about 20 people, but said he had not seen Mr. Robinson in person for several years. He spoke on the condition that his name not be used, fearing harassment for being an acquaintance of the suspect. The Times independently verified that the person who shared the screenshots attended high school with Mr. Robinson and found other indications that they knew one another. The screenshots were shared at the request of the Times. Discord declined to confirm Mr. Robinson's username, but it matches several other accounts that he used elsewhere online. The suspect is expected to be formally charged by local prosecutors on Tuesday. It was not clear on Saturday if he had a lawyer. The messages do not shed light on a possible motivation for the shooting, which has been fiercely debated by people trying to ascribe blame to a political side. A police officer wrote in an affidavit that Mr. Robinson had recently discussed Mr. Kirk's upcoming event in Utah with a family member, and that the two had talked about why they didn't like him. People who knew Mr. Robinson over the years said that he was extremely intelligent, followed current events, and spent much of his time online or playing video games. He was registered to vote, but was not affiliated with a political party and appeared to have never voted in an election. His parents are both registered Republicans. On Sunday, Governor Spencer Cox of Utah said in a television interview that Mr. Robinson had a leftist ideology, but he also cautioned that it could take time for an exact motivation to emerge. After Mr. Robinson joked that the gunman was his lookalike, another user suggested that the group could turn Mr. Robinson in and get a $100,000 reward that the FBI was offering. Only if I get a cut, Mr. Robinson responded. How insane is that? He's just like yucking it up. I mean, obviously, you just don't think that the person in your group chat is capable of doing such a thing. So in your mind, no, it's not internet brain poisoning, chatters. No, it's people just around being like, isn't it funny that this guy looks exactly like you? And him just like leaning into it and being like, haha, yeah, it's totally funny. It's my doppelganger. We should split the money. Someone posted, whatever you do, don't go to McDonald's anytime soon. A reference to the arrest of Luigi Mangione, who was found at a McDonald's restaurant and charged with the killing of a health insurance chief executive in Manhattan. Mr. Robinson agreed and offered a supposed joke of his own, writing, better also to get rid of this manifesto and exact copy rifle I have laying around. So does that mean he actually has a manifesto? When another user suggested that the killing of Mr. Kirk would lead President Trump to send the National Guard to Utah, the suspect replied, in a red state? Nah, clearly the shooter was from California. Oh my God. Oh my God. Brother, he was memeing nonstop. Around that time, several news outlets reported that ammunition near a rifle at the scene included engravings referencing transgender ideology. The truth ultimately was that the engravings included the phrase, hey fascist, catch, as well as lyrics from an anti-fascist Italian song and a reference to a sexual meme about a bulge, the Ciao Bella reference, and also, what was it? Notices your bulge, ooh woo. But at the time, before the exact phrasing of the engravings was publicly known, oh, and then if you see this, you're gay, Lamau. But at the time, before the exact phrasing of the engravings was publicly known, the suspect sent messages that suggested he was closely following the news. I heard the ammo had something about trans stuff on it, but they aren't releasing photos or exact quotes, he wrote. He added, and also the claim wasn't backed by the official FBI, just some dude in the briefing room. Bella Ciao, not Ciao Bella. Okay, calm down. Yes. I can't believe he would get ooh woo and oh whoa confused. I don't know. I thought it was ooh woo. Anyway, Utah's governor said in television interview on Sunday that a person previously described as a roommate of the suspect was in fact a boyfriend who was transitioning to become a woman, and he said that the person was fully cooperating with authorities and was shocked by what had happened. So the irony here is that this person, Republicans are trying to say like, this is, if what they're saying is true, okay? If what they're saying is true, this would mean that the trans person involved in this is unironically the good party. Okay, a cis white guy shoes Charlie Kirk, and it's the trans person that's like, yo, that was up. I'm cooperating with the authorities. Even if there is evidence of that happening, what's crazy about the situation is that it's not the trans person that pulled the trigger, and Republicans are still like, nope. How is he cis if he's dating a trans person? Dog, what the do you mean? You don't become trans when you date a trans person, even if they are dating, which I don't even know if they are. What? Cisgender just means that you are the gender that you were assigned at birth. Transgender means that you do not subscribe to the gender that you were assigned, to sex you were assigned at birth. Okay, that's it. Cis doesn't mean gay or anything like that. There's no like trans cooties or whatever. Mr. Robinson's message on Discord appeared next to his avatar, which was from a Garfield comic and depicted the confused face of Garfield's owner, John Arbuckle. At one point, he joked in a message, I'm actually Charlie Kirk. Wanted to get out of politics, so I faked my death. Now I can live out my dream life in Kansas. The police have said that the suspect walked onto campus ahead of the event, in which Mr. Kirk debated students with opposing beliefs and climbed up on the roof of a building about 400 feet away from where Kirk was speaking. The gunman fired one shot, they said, fatally striking Mr. Kirk, and then dropped down from the roof and rushed off campus. The police said that Mr. Robinson had implied or confessed that he committed the crime and that he was then encouraged by a family member and family friend to turn himself in, which he did. He surrendered to the police in southwestern Utah, where he lived, more than 3 hours drive from the campus where the shooting took place. Following the suspect's arrest on Thursday night, members of the group chat on Discord struggled to believe that he was actually being accused of the crime. Our governor wants to give him the death penalty, dude, one wrote. Another said, I truly cannot distinguish if this is for real. As we covered already, they went from the shooter is trans to realizing the shooter is not trans to only going back to it now to say the shooter had trans bullets to realizing the shooter's bullets weren't trans to now claiming that, well, the shooter was around a trans person, potentially a trans person. We don't even know if the person is trans or not. So we have found a way, or at least the Republicans have found a way to once again turn his back to trans people somehow.
Charlie Kirk's alleged assassin, Tyler Robinson, reportedly lived with a transgender partner in Utah, according to FBI officials.
And this is the same partner that reportedly came forward with messages from the suspect discussing the killing, including the rifle, engraved bullets, and a change of clothes.
Retired FBI Supervisory Special Agent James Gagliano joining us now. You know, we've had this conversation, my friend, about the nexus of information as we continue to unpack this investigation. If you wouldn't mind, is it relevant at all as a data point who this person, this shooter was involved with? Does that matter at all as we look at the investigation in terms of the community? Lawrence, and I think even Rachel mentioned earlier, Discord communities. How do you unpack that when people say,
they don't know what Discord is either. So these guys don't know what a Discord is either. So they think it's like they don't understand that there's like different servers. They don't understand that it's a communication platform where people can just like talk to one another in the same way that you can with like Skype. So that's the other problem with this too, where they're just like, they're talking about shit that they don't understand at all, right? It's just, I don't know. It's all bad.
Investigations are layered. And really, when you go to look at this now, we're seeing this new ideation, which is assassination culture.
Yeah.
What does that consist of?
Yeah.
Starts out with a grievance. These are all grievance collectors, whether it's a mass shooter, a terrorist, or a political assassin. You add into that an ideology. My ideology is superior to yours. You're an existential threat. You're going to stop the next election. You're against my family unit. And last, moral absolutism. You believe that you are superior, your thinking is superior, and I have the right to take your life.
I don't even fully know where this, like, the roommate is trans is coming from. I think, like, they were pointing to the fact that, like, the roommate had, like a face filter, like a female face filter on a TikTok that had, like, 3 views or something. And also that the roommate was, like, photographed wearing, like a weird hat or something. Like, no, that I'm not even kidding, but I don't know, but they might be. There's 2 reasons why it's like, there's 2 reasons. That's not it. It's been confirmed. They found social media accounts and everything. Like, originally they were talking about it because, like, there was a face filter thing. They were active on trans subreddits. Oh, they found the Reddit, right? That was not his Reddit. That was the roommate's Reddit, right? I saw it. It was like the Jordan Peterson one, right? The one that likes Jordan Peterson and also loves the landlord, the land Chad subreddit or whatever. Like, it's like one of those like weird neoliberal type. Like, their online footprint is like very neoliberal kind of. That the land Chads is like a satirical subreddit, but I think they were like, maybe I misunderstood it. Anyway, we'll look at what it is. I don't know the full details and the full background, but what I saw initially was like people connecting it to like a random, you're spreading misinfo. They hated landlords who was making fun of it. Okay. Hold on. Calm down. I'm not spreading misinformation. I don't know the exact details. I'm going to get to it. Listen to my words. I am going to look into it. Do you hear that, what I'm saying? I'm going to look into it further. I don't know. Understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. I'm saying, I don't know. I saw something before I went live and I didn't look too much into it. Okay? Calm down.
Life, because I disagree with you.
So in this country, we have a history, sadly, of political assassinations.
Right. Yep.
And, you know, let's take JFK, for example. people had a lot of ideas. And
Dog, they were saying a roommate. Oh, the roommate was trans because he posted himself on TikTok with the anime girl filter. But didn't the roommate also like have a Reddit account or something?
theories about what would have what happened, and was that killer or shooter, you know, he was obviously a disturbed person, but who was actually behind animating and using that disturbed person to actually, you know, kill our president? Do we know anything about that? And do you feel like our government can be trusted to dig that deep?
We're certainly not immune to political violence. I mean, in our 250-year history, 4 sitting presidents have been assassinated. We're conditioned, sadly, Rachel, that that's normal. You know, whether it's Gabby Giffords or Justice Kavanaugh, we think that that's almost our norm. Charlie was an interlocutor. He was somebody that just went to college campuses and debated. Now, in looking at this assassin and what he did, it was just a cacophony of errors and how clumsy it was. He was successful in what he ultimately set out to do in his dastardly deed. He is essentially a murderous nihilist. But the FBI now is digging deeper. Was he inspired by somebody or something? And was he directed, or did anybody provide any material support? That's important.
That's what I want to know.
Can we stay right there? Because, and we got a statement from Discord, which is the chat feature, the gaming app that they were using. Now, they say that they've kicked them off the app, and the communications that took place were after the assassination. I'm not comfortable with just the company's answer. I want to see how forensic people do. Do you think there could have been planning on the app before? And if the people that he was communicating with knew about it or had conversation about it, will they be brought in?
That's the tough thing. I mean, we cherish our Fourth Amendment protections, you know, against illegal searches and seizures and all of our privacies that we appreciate as well. This is tough. Remember 2015, San Bernardino, and at the time, FBI Director Comey trying to get into an Apple phone from the terrorists who were dead and was unsuccessful. No. We had to end up going to get some kid to break the code because Apple wasn't working with us at the time. Later, they changed their mind. Yeah, it's a tough thing. Again, people online say crazy things. It's separating that from the people that are going to act on it. And Lawrence, to your point, that's the tough part.
Well, I think this is going to be a challenge for the FBI. You know, MAGA and President Trump's people are in charge. And I think people are going to, you know, really look at this to see, do we have the FBI? Can we restore the trust that was lost? Yeah. So much of it lost during the last administration. So thank you so much for joining us. Great stuff.
Thank you.
Man, great.
Is Brian not on there because he kicked his ass out for what he said the other day? Yeah, he had to apologize for saying you should euthanize all mentally ill homeless people or some shit. I don't know about the level of relationship, the involvement that he had. I don't know about the background of the roommate potentially, and hopefully we will find out more details. But I saw a piece from this Axios article where it literally said that the authorities were questioning whether or not to reveal the gender, like the gender identity of the cooperating witness, or not witness, the cooperating person, specifically because they thought it was like too incendiary to reveal, which leads me to believe that they, you know, that they might be trans. There's also Reddit footprints involved with the cooperator as well. Oh my God, everything is paywall. Jesus Christ. Cooperator with the authorities, cooperator with the law enforcement agencies. Because it seems like they very quickly went to the roommate and were like, what's up? Like, what's going on with this person? Which is understandable. They're trying to develop a motive here. They're trying to figure out why this person did what he did. Okay, here it is. Authorities are investigating whether Tyler Robinson, suspected of killing Charlie Kirk, believed Kirk's views on gender identity were hateful to people like familiar with the case, tell Axios. Why it matters. Investigators believe Robinson's anger at Kirk's views could be a key to establishing a motive for the slaying of the controversial activist whose death sent shockwaves through American politics. Each of the 6 sources familiar with the investigation told Axios that investigators believe Robinson had a romantic relationship with his roommate. The latest, Utah Governor Spencer Cox confirmed on Sunday to ABC News This Week that Robinson lived with a romantic partner who was undergoing a gender transition. Robinson's roommate is cooperating with authorities, Cox said, but that Robinson is not and has not confessed to Kirk's killing. Axios sources said investigators initially wanted the information about the roommate's gender identity kept quiet because that person is being extremely cooperative with the authorities. The roommate was aghast at the slaying when speaking to investigators and shared electronic messages sent by Robinson, one of the sources said. That's what That's what happened. Oh my God, no, the roommate said, according to the source. Here are all the messages. The phone messages indicated a sender listed as Tyler had mentioned that after the shooting, he had wrapped his rifle in a towel and stashed it in some bushes near Utah Valley University. What is so insane about this, by the way, is that the person who is trans in this situation is cooperating with the authorities, and yet every Republican has basically run with the narrative that like without any evidence whatsoever, has run with the narrative that this is yet another instance of trans violence. And I suspect, given the shooter's background, that he was like a white boy, you know, from a good family, a Republican family, they will try to say that like they'll go with a trans lover narrative and be like, the trans lover actually poisoned his mind and radicalized them into taking this like violent act, this act of vengeance. The phone message indicated a sender listed as Tyler. Tyler also told the roommate in writing that the rifle would have to be retrieved. Cox said, between the lines, federal and state law enforcement officials are also examining leftist groups in Utah to see whether they had knowledge of the alleged shooter's plans beforehand or if they lent material support to him afterward. One of those groups eliminated his social media profile after the shooting, Axios has learned. The motive and political ideology of Robinson, 22, are subject. Well, this literally could have been because they were just like claiming that random people were the shooter. That's the other thing. Because like in the aftermath of this, they straight up were saying, oh, this random DSA member is the shooter. That random DSA member is the shooter. Like, it's ridiculous. The motive and political ideology of Robinson 22 are subject of intense online debate. Some conservatives have insisted he's an unhinged leftist. Liberals have pushed back by pointing to Robinson's conservative upbringing in Utah. The reason why I didn't immediately rush to the notion that this was a right-winger in the aftermath of this incident was because I told you there's plenty of people who grow up in conservative backgrounds and don't have conservative opinions. There's people from a similar ideological upbringing, even in this community, right? That they start off, their starting position is very conservative, their family is very conservative, and they like slowly but surely move away from that kind of thinking. So it's not unheard of. Now, of course, Republicans don't think that is the case, and it's very obvious that because Republicans don't think that is the case, that they immediately started rushing to conclusions about this person being like one of theirs, you know. In a Daily Mail interview Friday, family matriarch Debbie Robinson said the family supports President MAGA's movement. But again, Debbie Robinson, the grandmother, might not know Tyler Robinson's point of view. Okay? Most of my family members are Republicans, she said. I don't know any single one who's a Democrat. Cox said on NBC's Meet the Press, just like the grandmother might not know of the political allegiances of Tyler Robinson, they're friends, like people that, friends that say, oh, this person is definitely a leftist, he's extreme, they might not know either, okay? A lot of people just make up their own minds. They talk shit, if you will. Most of my family members are Republicans, she said. I don't know a single one is a Democrat. Cox said on NBC's Meet the Press Sunday that while Robinson comes from a conservative family, his ideology was very different than his family. He said authorities are trying to piece together how Robinson, a high-achieving student, a very normal young man, was radicalized. Clearly, there was a lot of gaming going on. It's the evils of gaming. It's the video games. Do you game so rarely to prevent radicalization? Yes. Friends have confirmed that there was kind of a deep, dark internet and Reddit culture and these other dark places on the internet where this person was going deep. Family members have told reporters that Tyler Robinson had become more political in recent years and had expressed interest in Kirk's visit to the Utah Valley campus on Orem, Utah. Cox said a Robinson family member had told investigators that the accused shooter recently had a conversation in which who's the someone, said Kirk was spreading hate, was full of hate, but it was unclear from Cox's remarks who actually made that statement. Dude, this is the worst. What the standard for what is news reporting, what is considered like good news reporting gets increasingly worse every day, man. What the is happening? Like every day since the shooting took place, there has been massively consequential pieces of misinformation that has been revealed, whether it's that they apprehended the shooter and then they realized it wasn't the shooter, and then they apprehended another person and then they realized that other person wasn't the shooter. Like, be a little bit more careful. You guys are people in positions of power. This whole, like, let's destroy the institutions, it turns out was a mistake. Okay? You need to have competent people running in positions of power. You need to have people that don't, like, no matter what their ideology is, okay? No matter what their ideology is, even if they're right wing or left wing, it doesn't matter. Like, in this moment, you're supposed to do your job. And your job requires you to take this seriously, okay? You can't just go out there and be like, I think this guy was trans and was writing trans stuff on his bullets, and then have that literally fall apart with like a little bit of scrutiny, only to turn around and be like, well, maybe it was actually his girlfriend that was trans. And like, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You can't do that, man. This is people's lives that you're talking about. Like, the ways in which we have found out like information about this story have been genuinely shocking. Like the ATF leak that went to Steven Crowder, and then Wall Street Journal confirmed it and then had to retract it because it was like half cooked. You know, there wasn't like, they didn't see any primary materials whatsoever. They just like went along with assessments being made without any sort of firm analysis. LGBTQ activists have criticized media outlets for erroneously reporting in the hours after the shooting that a bullet casing from the scene included a message related to transgender people. Kirk, who toured college campuses and challenged progressive students to debate him under a tent that said, "Prove me wrong," was an outspoken opponent of gender-affirming surgeries for minors and transgender athletes competing in women's sports. What they're saying is clearly that Robinson's roommate knew a lot and didn't say anything after the killing, so they're a person of interest officially and are cooperating. A second official said, "We want to keep it that way."
I do want to start with some of the many unanswered questions about the investigation. You told the Wall Street Journal that it is, quote, very clear to us and to the investigators that this was a person who was deeply indoctrinated with leftist ideology. Can you elaborate on that and be more specific?
Well, sure. So that information comes from the people around him, from his family members and friends. That's how we got that information. Again, there's so much more that we're learning and so much more that we will learn. There will be official charges will be filed on Tuesday, and there will be much more evidence and information available then. And again, we're interviewing all kinds of people, everyone that knows him, and trying to learn more about what that motive actually was.
Well, some outlets are reporting that the suspect lived with a transgender partner. Is that accurate? And are investigators looking at this part of his life as a possible motivation?
Yes, definitely. And yes, I can confirm that. I know that has been reported. And
this is also another part of the problem with the collapse of the institutions, is when you don't know if you can trust them when they say something because they've already it up. Like, when an official government representative tells me something, there has to be an assumption that he is, no matter what his political background is, no matter what his ideology is, I have to assume he is being sincere. I have to assume that he's not operating to score political points against like random subsects of the American population. Do you see what I mean? And when you actually reveal yourself to be biased in this regard, and so biased that you're willing to reveal half-truths or sometimes false information, and you lose that credibility, it makes it much harder to trust this person. It's like the Israel phenomena. Like, this man straight up said he was praying that the shooter wasn't, one of them. Now, of course, I think he meant like, someone from Utah, but he straight up said he wished the shooter was like, not from the country. Like, I know he meant from Utah, not from Utah, but come on, dude. Yeah, he's like, I pray that the shooter was a black Muslim transgender from Mexico illegally crossing the border. Like, that's an insane thing to say, bro. You're a governor. Like, take your position seriously, please. Yeah, motherfucker said he prayed 30 hours for that. Also, something to reconsider. Maybe your prayers don't work, man. I don't know what to tell you.
The FBI has confirmed that as well, that the roommate was a romantic partner, a male transitioning to female. I can say that that he has been very cooperative. This partner has been incredibly cooperative. Had no idea that this was happening, and is working with investigators right now.
And how is that relevant to the investigation when it comes to the motive? Are you learning that?
Sure. Well, yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out right now. Again, it's easy to draw conclusions from that, and so we've got the shell casings, other forensic evidence that is coming in, and trying to piece all of those things together.
You said that the roommate is being very helpful. Has that individual explained to law enforcement what the mindset of the shooter was and whether or not it is connected to his ideology or his situation as transitioning, as you just described?
I'm not sure about that piece right now, Dan.
What?
Okay, so we're not sure if the fact that he was romantically involved, as you say, with his partner who was transitioning is relevant to the motive of the murder based on the investigation.
Well, sure. Again, all of these things we're trying to figure it out. I know everybody wants to know exactly why and point the finger, and I totally get that. I do too.
Then why are you bringing this shit up, bro? What the how is this helpful then? He's like, listen, we don't really know. The person who is trans is cooperating, but also don't let that get in the way of us fomenting hatred towards trans people in general. Come on now. Yeah, we can't let a crisis go to waste,
And so I just want to be careful, as I haven't read all of the interview transcripts, and so we'll have to wait and see what comes out.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. We should all be careful. I guess just because that's out there are a lot of people drawing conclusions, and so I'm just trying to get as many facts as we can glean from you, since you have been involved in the investigation. And on that, the social and gaming platform Discord released a statement saying its servers were in no way involved in Tyler Robinson's alleged plot to assassinate Charlie Kirk, but it did say there were, quote, communications between the suspect's roommate and a friend after the shooting, where the roommate was recounting the contents of a note the suspect had left elsewhere. Can you tell us about that note that the shooter left?
So I can't yet. Again, those are things that are still being processed for accuracy and verification, and will be included in charging documents.
Okay, so you.
Oh, now they want to dial it back. Okay. Not when it comes to speculating about the involvement of the trans roommate. But certainly when it comes to the actual note, can't reveal that. Sorry. That note was written by the white guy who pulled the trigger, by the way, which is crazy.
But the note was found, or the content of the note is known by law enforcement?
Again, I can't share any specifics. They're looking at everything right now.
Understood. I just want to go back to my first question about what you told the Wall Street Journal about that this is a person indoctrinated with leftist ideology. And the reason why I think it would be great to be more specific is because your goal of trying to lower the temperature, you said that this is based on investigation and interviews with people who knew him. Did they just use the term leftist ideology, or did they give specifics?
Yeah, there are conversations that were discussed specifically about Charlie Kirk, other conversations about the direction that this was going. And look, my job is just to tell people I really don't have a dog in this fight. If this was MAGA and a
No, you do, bro. You definitely have a dog in this fight. You have admitted that you have a dog in this fight. You have the biggest dog in the fight. What the? We wouldn't have expected you to have a dog in the fight under different circumstances because you're the governor. Right now, it's very hard for us to assume you don't have a dog in the fight. You said you were praying, man. You were praying, man.
radicalized MAGA person, I would be saying that as well. If the friends were saying that, I would be sharing that as well. That's not what they're sharing. And so I do think it is important, again, to understand how someone gets radicalized like this. And in this case, it happened with, as much as people wish it wasn't or don't want it to be this, these are the facts that are being presented to us.
There have been so many high-profile mass shootings, school shootings, children being targeted in this goddamn country by far-right neo-Nazis. We know where they get radicalized. We know how they get radicalized. We know what their worldview looks like. We know what major party they actually are close to ideologically. And yet, for some weird reason, this kind of question is never addressed. Can you perhaps tell me why this kind of question is never addressed when the overwhelming majority of these sorts of high-profile incidents? Bro, you are literally the most fake news guy ever. It's actually insane. You're a liar. Why? Especially in this moment, if you're calling me a liar, then you're saying that my assessment is incorrect. So you're saying the shooter is a Nazi then, because my assessment is the shooter is not likely to be a Nazi. Are you saying that I'm a liar? The shooter is definitely a groyper? Is that what you're saying? I haven't seen enough evidence that the shooter is a groyper. You're talking too fast for them? No, this person is not actually responding to anything that I'm saying. This person is responding to the idea that he's designed in his mind of who I am and what I must be pushing for.
Are additional facts that would point otherwise, but family discussions, parents, this is what they're saying, and these, again, these things happen. And so it's okay to have these discussions.
Listen, absolutely, and I'm just trying to get more facts, more details of the facts that you're putting out there. One last question on that. You just said right now, which is something that you mentioned on Friday, is that he had discussions with family members about Charlie Kirk. Do you have specifics on what he was saying about Charlie Kirk to his family?
Just not a fan. That's all I can say.
Okay, not a specific reason why. McKay Cop.
Wow. You mean to tell me that the guy who shot and killed Charlie Kirk was not a fan of Charlie Kirk? That's great. Thank you. You really gave us a motive there. This clears up a lot of these questions. I was wondering if the guy who shot and killed Charlie Kirk was a fan of his or not.